In this video, in the Creativity in the Classroom series, I'm going to have to talk about the things that educators do that completely squelch creativity in their students. So I'm not doing this to be critical. I'm doing this to help you grow as a better educator. The things that I'm going to go over are things you do, and you see all the other teachers do it. You see it on Pinterest or wherever you're getting your lessons from, and you think, well, it's okay. I mean, I'm right in there with everyone else, right? I'm doing great. If you're doing these things that I'm fixing to talk about, you're not. And just because everybody's doing it doesn't make it right. So I want you to incorporate these things that I'm telling you, and then you're going to be the ones in your school where you're at that are going to help the other teachers grow into better teachers, the kinds of teachers that really know how to foster creativity in the classroom. Okay, starting with this example. If you have your kids do something as simple as a color sheet, and these examples that I'm going to give you are examples that I have seen personally in some of the schools that I've been in, or have had my student teachers relay back to me that they've seen, and etc. So these are real examples. Let's say you have first graders and they are coloring, maybe it's not even related to their assignment, it's just some busy work that they can do while you're waiting for everyone to catch up. And you have to have some busy work sometimes. It's not about that. Let's say they're coloring a picture of a cat, and you've printed out this coloring page for them, and you've got a kid that decides to color the cat purple. And the teacher walk over and you say, "You can't color that cat purple. Cats aren't supposed to be purple. What color are cats?" This is a real example, sadly enough. What's just happened there is that you've squelched that kid's creativity. Why does the cat have to be a real color? If your child is doing a report on cats and they need to color a real cat, then yes, they might have to do one that has real colors. But something as offhand as a coloring sheet, and you sit there and tell a child that they can't color it purple, why would you say that? Why does it have to be a real color? This happens in other instances too, where a teacher corrects a child and tells the child they're not coloring it right. They're not coloring it realistically. When you do that, you put everybody in the same box, and you're making them conform to your standards of how something should look. You're not allowing for any sort of creative interpretation. And when you have coloring sheets and when you have assignments that do not require a specific interpretation visually, then you need to let the child go. You need to let them do whatever they want to do in terms of their color choices. It's okay. It's okay if they want to color the cat rainbow colors or pink or whatever. I recommend you check out the book, The Blue Horse. It's a wonderful book, and it can help you to understand why they don't have to color it realistically. Part of this is that educators tend to think in steps of 1, 2, 3 equals X outcome. And this outcome is what you're going for. So everyone does these steps and everyone gets this outcome. The problem is within these steps is that they're all arriving at the same outcome, when it could have the possibility to have some more individualized interpretations for your assignment. Now, for these assignments, I'm talking about the many art-related assignments that are done in the general classroom, specifically in elementary school and maybe some in middle school grades. So let's see, I'll give you another example. They were doing pumpkins, and this was in a kindergarten class. They were doing pumpkins, and they were cutting out the pumpkin faces to put on a coffee can, and they were making little treat holders. The teacher required that all students turn the triangles the exact same way because in her mind that was right. And one student turned them the wrong way, turned them upside down, and the teacher tore them off and told the student to do it again and do it right. So this issue of rightness is catastrophic when you have so many teachers that are trying to make these students all do the same thing. Systemically, this is why we have a society that is becoming less and less creative, because they go through education and they all have to get the same answer. They all have to get the same answer to advance forward or to get good grades or whatever. Now, of course, there are instances when this is necessary. You don't want to have the wrong answer in math. 2 + 2 = 4. Okay? That's fine. Your history dates, your science processes, these things are established. They're factual information, they're content that your students need to learn. But when you're looking at the visuals that go with it, you need to hands off just a little bit, open it up so those students can have some interpretation. For example, you're doing a fall assignment, maybe it's first grade, second grade, and you're doing something on apple trees and the life cycle with seeds and fall and apples and Johnny Appleseed. So you might think it's going to be great in arts-integrative if you let your students do a picture. The problem is when you require the students all do the same picture. In other words, they have the apple tree on the same side of the page, they have a blue sky, green leaves, X number of apples, and they have maybe Johnny Appleseed standing here or something, and it's all the same. Or worse, you give them a color sheet instead of just giving them a blank piece of paper to illustrate how they want. How are they supposed to be creative if they don't even have this one opportunity to be creative in your classroom? You're not even giving them an opportunity to be creative. The second problem with making them all do the same thing so they all end up right, and I walk through the schools and I see that line, that row outside your door, and anyone else, you know what you can see? You can see which one's better, which one's not so good, because they're all the same. Somebody didn't do their tree, in a good tree shape. Somebody didn't do their apples perfectly round. Somebody, there's all these little subtle things that when they're all side by side, you can see. And the children can see, and the parents can see, and that just reinforces the idea in those children who maybe for whatever reasons, developmental, fine motor skills, outside opportunities at home to develop those drawing skills, and they're not doing as well as this other student did. So you're setting them up for failure when you require that they do the exact same thing as everyone else. I want you to look at this example of student artwork. Notice what's all the same. The position of the trees, the color of the trees, the shape of the trunk, the color of the sky, the grass, the color of Johnny Appleseed's shirt, the suspenders, his hat. Everything is the same. It would not have hurt to let the kids do Johnny Appleseed's clothes in different colors. I want to ask you something. Look closely. Which one's better? Why? How are you arriving at the decision? Most likely you're going to look at these four, kind of go back and forth a little bit, make some evaluations, and come to a conclusion. Well, this one's face is drawn better, or this one colored more in the line. This one's tree is better. This one's sun is better. And you're going to look at that so's everyone else. So's the child. So this is a clear example of what not to do in the classroom. There are many ways that the teacher could have allowed some individuality within this assignment. Didn't have to be one tree. Trees don't have to be the same shape. Johnny Appleseed doesn't have to be towards the left of the tree. The clothes don't have to be the same. The paper choice, which is the background color, didn't have to be the same. Could have been a moon. Could have had birds in the trees. So there are a lot of opportunities for difference here. And even those small differences matter. All right, so let's get back to the video. Why don't you open it up a little, and you've talked about apples and apple trees and the process and fall and whatever. Give them choice, student choice. Maybe they want to do one big apple. Maybe they want to do a bunch of apples on a page. So when you have 25 and you have all these different interpretations, that's wonderful because you've allowed space for the individual to be an individual. You've allowed them the opportunity to problem solve because now you've given them the context. You're going to do a picture of related to what we've talked about with, apples and seeds and fall. And you get to decide how you want to do that. So now they're problem solving and they're looking for ideas and they have to make decisions and they have to determine what color. Maybe they want to do their scene at night. Why does it always have to be a blue sky? Maybe they want it to be a pink sky or a sunset sky, and you know what? That's okay. It doesn't make it wrong because it's different from what you think about. And some of this is related to a teacher's need to have control. Yes, you need to have control in classroom management and outcomes and objectives, but you don't have to control the creative process. In fact, please don't, because more than likely you're screwing it up. It doesn't have to be right. I've heard teachers say, I just can't stand to just let them do the sky a different color. It just looks wrong to me. That's a personal problem. Okay, please recognize that you have issues with control and perfection, and you can work on that separately, but don't force that onto your students. Let them have some room. Let them have the opportunity to be creative. So, and I'm saying this, and I can't say it strongly enough because I see it and have seen it for 20-something years. It just won't stop. The repetition and the comparison is just, and the boring sameness is just horrible. You know what else's problem when you make them all do the same thing? There's no ownership in it. It's just cut and paste or follow the teacher's directions, blue sky, red apple, green tree or orange tree or whatever. It's all the same. They don't want it. And when the parent comes and they see everything the same, it's not something that's really special because you haven't let the child into the artwork. You haven't let the child into the assignment. This goes for the cut and paste things too. How many of you teachers will go back to the apple thing, because I see it every year, and they're doing an apple tree, and you print out, and maybe even do it on green paper, the shape. So the kids can cut out the shape of the tree, and they can cut out the shape of the trunk, and maybe you even have the strips already made, or maybe you've oh my God, cut it out yourself. You spent the time cutting out 25 little bushes so your kids all have the stuff and all they have to do is paste it together. No, don't do that. For one, it's okay for them to work on their fine motor skills. Cutting is good. They have to practice it. They don't need to cut along the lines. Maybe they don't want to have one big top of the tree. Maybe they want to have separate ones. Maybe they want a bird in the tree. And maybe it's okay if all the trees are different shapes. They should be. Because then they can each be proud of their work instead of comparing it to whose is best. And then when the parents come and they see that line of work and the child's more proud when they show them theirs, they're like, oh wow, I can see you drew that, and you this was your idea, and and the teacher let you flourish, let those ideas flourish. And it's, it's okay if the cutting is bad. It's okay if it hangs off the page, if it's a little bit crooked. Don't shut it down. Don't take a critical stance on that because it's not perfect. Part of this is that you have allowed your identity as a good teacher. You've allowed the rightness or the correctness of your students' work to be an indication of your teaching and you as a teacher. It's not. The best thing to show, whether it's your colleagues or your administrators or whatever, that you can do as a teacher is that you can let the students be students. You can let children be children. You can let them learn to cut, to shape their ideas, and have that small window of opportunity within your classroom to do something personal, to be creative. They already have to have the structure and the facts and the routine. It won't kill them or you to allow for difference. So please, please stop. Stop making everything the same. Stop using color sheets. Stop using exemplars. You know what I'm talking about, students. Today we're going to do this, and you have a picture of this on the board. And you want your students to do the picture the same as you did. Why? Why do you need them to copy you? Don't hang that on the board, because they will copy you. And you know what happens when they copy you? They're not thinking. They're not problem solving. They're not looking for ideas, which you should be encouraging by saying, which I say in my classrooms, make sure that your idea is not the same as the person next to you. And the rule that I have in my classroom is, well, before I say the rule, I let the students know that, you know what, sometimes you really like what your friend is doing, or maybe one of the people in your table or your work group. You really like it and you think it's so good that you want to do the same thing. I don't let that happen in my classroom. What I do if I see it, they sneak it in before I come around, I'll ask them, I'll ask the table, who did it first? Whose idea was this first? It was his. Okay, great. Then I think that's really awesome that you liked his idea so well, but you're gonna have to do your own. So we're gonna put this one to the side and you can keep it and you can take it home with you, but now you're gonna do your own idea. Now this does two things. One, it lets both students know that, you know, it's a human thing. It's okay to really like somebody else's work. It's not okay to allow them to copy it. When you have 4 kids and they've all done the same thing at the group, it's because one person started and the other people copied them. One reason they copy is because they don't know what to do. The second reason they copy is maybe they do know what they want to do, but they don't have the confidence in either the idea or the ability to draw. The third reason they may copy is because they think that that person will like them more, or because they're friends, and because they, you know, so it's some kind of like social dynamic. Don't allow that in the classroom. Because when you don't allow that in the classroom, you are encouraging and validating each person's ideas. And what I would say, if they're like, but hers is better, or I want mine to be like hers, I'm like, I'm so happy that you like hers. I like it too. But I know that your idea is going to be wonderful too. And your idea is important. And your drawing is important. Because that builds that confidence. And it doesn't let them have the easy way out of copying them. It makes them think, it works their mind, and that's what you need to do. You need to allow the space for that. So, to recap, do not correct a child if they choose a color that is unrealistic unless it is specifically associated with the criteria in your assignment, i.e., if you're doing an assignment on apples and you're teaching the children about an apple, you might have it be, red or yellow or green, okay? I understand that. But if you're letting children do a piece of art after you've studied apples, let them go. Let them do it. Give them the freedom to exercise their creativity, okay? So open up the assignment. 2, don't correct them in the sense that you tell them that is wrong and throw it away, which I've heard this and seen this, and it just breaks my heart. You're not going to throw away some child's art because it's not perfect. You're not going to write on it, draw on it, or correct it. Or if they're gluing on a shape, you're not going to go over there and twist it around so it's perfectly aligned. Let it be crooked. There is something very precious in the innocence and the lack of perfection in a child's work. Let it alone. Let it be. Okay, so don't correct it. And third, don't require that they all do the same thing by either handing out pre-printed color sheets or by cutting out the pieces yourself so that they all match, or hanging up your example and asking them to copy it. Okay, because that doesn't have anything to do with art and creativity. What that has to do with is how well they can mimic you. And mimicking is not a cognitive skill. It's not a part of creativity, and it doesn't help your child in any way. So be better, do better. Okay? Yeah, color sheets and preprints and templates are easier for you. Maybe they're easier for the child, but easy doesn't make them grow. Easy doesn't exercise their creativity. So please look for those little spaces inside your curriculum and your assignments where you can take your hands off it and let that child be as creative and individual as they can. I'll see you in the next video. Questions, comments, concerns, post them below. I'll be happy to talk to you. Thanks.